Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Videomail for the week of June 9th, 2014. Welcome to the site to you new members and welcome back to the old members. The Ask Videomail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one, but I need your questions if I'm going to answer them right. Come on. Send them to webmaster@KennyRoy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones I think will help the most people. There is no such thing as a stupid question, and it is the best way to get the most out of the site. Of course, right? That makes total sense, doesn't it? I am super excited. Can I tell you why? First of all, let me just turn off. Let me just turn off touch on my Wacom. Oh, the Wacom's erroring. Okay. Well, the show must go on, right? The show must go on. Speaking of show must go on, you might be able to hear it. I got a little bit of the sniffles. No sick days here for me at Arconics. It's part of the deal you sign up for when you run a small business, but I'm not feeling too bad, so don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I just wish I had some chicken soup, you know? That's all I want right now. Let me tell you what I'm excited about. I am so excited about this year's Collabs project. The project is insane. It is absolutely, it's like lightning strike that we were able to get this project and work with this writer. This project has A-list actors involved in it already. A-list. Like the kind of talent that can get movies made, can get a movie greenlit. So having that even before we start is just blowing my mind. It's making this an entirely different level of project than's ever been done before. Really, I mean, especially in a production course like Collabs is. So please, I want to tell you guys about it, but I can't. It should give you a little bit of an indication of how A-list these people are, that I can't tell you because use of their name is considered a privilege that you have to pay for. Okay, and so I would get in trouble with their agencies. I would get in trouble with them if I told you about them being involved in this project. They're really excited to be and happy to be a part of this project, but I can't tell you who they are. But I can talk to you on a one-on-one basis. I can do that. So if you want to know more about Collabs, just go to collabs.arconics.com. There's a link on the homepage of kennyroy.com where you can just type it in Collabs, COLLABS.arconics.com, and just hit the apply button. There's no obligation if you apply. If you just want more information, apply and I'll contact you directly and we can talk a little bit more about the project. But having this up front is a game changer. It is a game changer for us in the program. So I want people to be involved and I want you to be taking advantage of this program that I'm putting together for you. Okay, so please contact me if you're interested in that at all. Let's jump right into the ask question for this week. Here you go. Great question. I like this. I worked with a guy named John Nguyen, who was an animator on 300, the original, and when that shot where there's that like war rhino that has like all the spikes on it, and do they throw a spear at it or do they hit it with a sword? I can't remember what happens, but it falls, and then it basically gets completely messed up and it's like a slow motion fall. Very cool stuff. Here's how John said that he did that shot. It's probably how you would imagine. First animated it in basically full motion, full speed, and then used the graph editor to kind of wall off the section when it slows down, and then spread the keys apart, and then go in and refine the animation to be basically what happens when you spread the keys apart is you lose a lot of detail. So if you double it, you're at 48 frames. If you double again, you're at 96. So that's like around 100 frames per second is what's considered slow motion. So that that speed is going to reduce the amount of detail you have because you have a quarter as many keys trying to define all of that time. So things like contacts, especially because at speed, like a quad run has those contacts, and they're very, they're very kind of almost like turbulent and very large and quick. So when you go down to slow motion, all of a sudden you have to do a lot more detail. Like a elephant, for instance, it's probably applicable with a rhino. Elephant, for instance, they step, and elephants are on their toes just like every other quadruped, but they step, and then there's that little like smushing, almost like that, squishing of like a muffin, on the ground that happens. Same things with like cats. I'll never forget when I was watching Joe Cassander refine his walk cycle for Aslan in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the very first one. He was looking at some video reference, and he was making his at-speed walk cycle like perfectly accurate for a lion, which is that they actually place their paws down and they roll a little bit on the outside. It's very, very subtle. I'm doing it like to an extreme amount right now, but they roll on the outside as they're putting that paw down. It's very, very, very subtle, but he got that perfectly correct. Can you imagine if it was a slow motion shot, how much more you'd have to go into that dynamic? Referencing heavily is really important. Being accurate and detailed in your work is the main thing when you're talking about creatures. For the matrix effect, you might have a little bit of a better time using some of the tricks that Maya has actually already set up for you. So I'm going to really quickly just like jump into Maya and show you something called the scene time warp, which allows you to do animation basically with the ability to refine the animation at speed and then just apply the scene time warp to it. So let me show you how this goes. So I'm going to make I'm just going to make like a bouncing ball. Okay, it's going to be 13 frames long, like this. I'm just going to really quickly, you've seen a bouncing ball be done 1,000 times, I'm sure. Let me just, my Wacom for some reason is unplugged, and the touch is really screwing me up right now. So please forgive me. Pre-cycle, post-cycle. Let's make this 120 frames long. Sorry, and we're back. A lot of technical snafus. Okay, so here we have our bouncing ball. Okay. So if you want to use this scene time warp, basically what you need to just look at is you have, you apply it in the graph editor is the easiest place. Okay, and you go edit, scene time warp, add scene time warp, and then it'll show it to you. So let me show you what this is. Basically what this is it creates a linear curve, and if you look, the stats right now, there's no keyframe, but your graph editor is great because it'll always show you, it'll always show you what is going on your graph if you add a key, right? So that was still silly. Let me just, the touch on my Wacom right now is really messing things up. I'm trying to add keys, trying to snap to time, and it's not working. Let me just set a key instead right here. So if I select this key, it's funny because even Maya's perfect interpolation or whatever it's supposed to be is not totally completely accurate, is it? Right? So I set a key right here, 71, 71, set another key right here. Oh, actually it's doing a lot better. Okay, well, that looks like it's working. But basically what this represents is one axis is the time and the other axis is the value of the time in your scene. So basically, as you go across the time, from left to right, what keyframe in your scene are you going to be seeing? Okay, so basically, if I hit set key right now, 62 by 62, meaning at frame 62 will be frame 62 in my scene. If I drag this down to 20, let's say 25, okay, it'll say at frame 62 when you're playing back, only get to frame 25. And here is actually the curve of time as it goes. So watch what happens, all right? My bouncing ball, and then it gets right back up to, and see how it had to speed up because the curve of time was all messed up. Okay. So here's what you can do. If I want it to bounce, twice, let's say, boing, boing, boing. Okay. So 2 bounces, 1, 2. On this frame, on frame 25, I want it to do 1 slow motion bounce, okay? 1 slow motion bounce, and then up and down, boing, right here, frame 37 again, and then continue bouncing. I set my keys on those values on the scene time warp, and then I stretch the time, and I'm selecting this back one because I want this relationship to stay the same. I want it to be linear again, 1 to 1, right? I want to have a slope of 1. Okay, so I'm grabbing both of these and then I'm giving it extra time. I'm stretching it out. Okay, so this would be about double. Let's say this is quadruple, right? Actually, you know what I can do? I know that it's a, this is what I can do. I know that it's a 11 frame, right? So I can do this. Sorry, like it's clicking all over the place because touch is on. And I think as you could see, yeah, my walk was not showing up here. Actually, let me just try to unplug it and plug it back in, see what happens. Does it recognize you and love you? No, it doesn't. Okay. So I know it's 11, so I can do plus equals 33, right? Plus equals 33. Okay? Now I'm going to make this whole thing linear. I'm going to make the entire curve linear. So it has a moment when it just switches to slow motion. You can do whatever you want. You can have it slow down like woo into that slow motion. But here we go. So 2 bounces. Boing, boing. Pretty cool, huh? Isn't that pretty cool? So what are some other uses for this? If you wanted to do this, let's say you're doing a fight scene, there's no reason why you can't actually like kind of double cut in your scene, almost like editing in camera. Let me show you what I mean. So let's say that this represents a character like punching. So let's say the second bounce is a punch. Boom, he punches, right? And then it's like slow motion. You can go like this. Check this out. I'm going to set a key right here. I'm going to start it over. Right? Somewhere like right there. 2 bounces. 1, 2. Oops. Stupid touch. So tired of this. And let's make these all, make it all linear again. Okay. And let's make it just a little bit longer. Okay. So this is what it's doing. So let's say you had here's your time again. So it goes bounce, and then it actually started again back at 0. Okay. Let me show you how I know this. Okay, watch this. See that? See how it went back to the origin where it started on frame 0? So you could actually do a lot of kind of cool things with motion and time in your, let's say you're doing a fight scene. How about this? Instead of just doing like, like slow down and like Matrix kind of stuff, you could have someone like punch, like slow down and then right? Kind of like back and forth with time. There's really no limit to what you can do with this tool, honestly. It's really awesome. So I would say though that probably in general, if it's a 100% slow-mo shot, then you probably want to take the same workflow that my friend John did and probably animate it at speed, slow down the keyframes, go back in and add that detail. When you ask how to do like a matrix effect, kind of gives me the indication that you're trying to go for some really kind of like out there timing ideas and want to do like play with time. And this is a pretty easy way to play with time. As long as you have your animation in there in a pretty good state before you start playing around with this thing, I think that there's like really no limit to what you can do with it. Just remember though that as you're working with it, that if you are trying to edit the animation without the scene time warp, it's a lot easier to do it like that, and then just hit enabled scene time warp or uncheck that, and then work on your animation, and then go back. So in your animation scene, it would just be the one punch, right? And then with your scene time warp, you might have it go back and forth and like or whatever. It'd be kind of pretty cool. I'd like to see people maybe do some shots with this tool in the future. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. That was a great question. Remember to send your questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. Please check out collabs.arconics.com. I really want to tell you guys about this project, but I can't unless you contact me. Okay, so go to that site, apply, no obligation. I just want to tell you about what we're doing, and you can decide for yourself. Okay, this has been fun. Thanks a lot. Good luck with your animation, and as always, rock on.